Hello, my dear adult children of alcoholics. In this video, I am going to be talking about why some adult children of alcoholics have difficulty having fun and experiencing feelings of joy. Now, dating back to Sigmund Freud, when we look at an individual in psychotherapy for assessment to understand which areas of their lives might be at a disarray, we look at three things. The first thing is their ability to have meaningful, fulfilling relationships, which includes having a family, romantic relationships, friends. Two is having meaningful and fulfilling work. So does an individual like what they do? Are they compensated well for their work? Are they feeling good about waking up in the morning, going to work, contributing to society in a way that they find meaningful, in the way that fulfills them? And number three is the ability to have fun and to be able to enjoy oneself without feelings of guilt, feelings of remorse, being destructive to self, being destructive to other people. So the ability to feel joy in your free and leisurely time. And when one of those areas are at a disarray, that is the signal that tells us what to work on. And we try to look for what might be happening in that person's psyche that blocks them from experiencing life to its full joyous degree. So the ability to have fun, the ability to feel joy is extremely important. And sometimes adult children of alcoholics struggle with this. And particularly the adult children of alcoholics that fall into the hero stance. And by the way, I say adult children of alcoholics, but it's generally people with adverse childhood experiences or even people that have had more trauma later on in life. And so particularly in the hero stance. And if you don't yet know what a hero stance is, please check out my video where I go over the 4 roles that children play in alcoholic families, because now a person that struggles with alcoholism in the family turns into a family disease. All right, so reasons adult children of alcoholics enjoy. When a child is growing up in an adverse family environment, in a dysfunctional family environment, in an alcoholic family environment, they feel that they are fundamentally different from other children. And the reason why they feel that they're fundamentally different is because they're beginning to notice signals that other families are not quite like their family. That's number 1. 2, they're receiving signals from their family asking the child to maintain the family secret that someone might be struggling with an addiction within the family. And so the child already has the responsibility for maintaining that secret, which results in feelings of shame and which results in feelings of carrying a burden within themselves that also makes them feel different from other children. 3 is the responsibilities that children of alcoholics sometimes have to partake with their families, such as taking care of their parents, being worried about their parents, thus maybe not wanting to spend more time with their friends. Families with addictions tend to also suffer with financial problems, which might make it more difficult for the children to partake in activities with other children. And so these factors, such as keeping family secrets, feeling that you and your family are not like other families, difficulties that come along with being in a dysfunctional family, such as financial problems or needing and wanting to take care of the parent or feeling afraid to leave the parent, from an early age makes the child slightly distant from their peers. Therefore, they don't create the same bonds that people from healthier families create. And that is the first pattern that children from dysfunctional families feel when it comes to having fun and enjoying activities with other children. Additionally, there is a big risk factor of getting bullied for kids that come from dysfunctional families. And the reason for that is because they take on so much already in the household that they enter their school environment, their play environment, with an energy of heaviness, with an energy of being abused, with an energy of being a victim, with an energy of being sad, energy of being angry. And other children, unbeknownst to them, unconsciously react to this child. So they feel that this child is one that can also be made fun of. This child can be a scapegoat. This child doesn't fall into the categories of someone to respect. Other children feel that and they start bullying that kid. Not because they're bad, but that's just the unconscious process. Somebody comes into the world feeling like a victim, has been victimized, has been abused, they will carry that energy. Other people are going to feel it, and they're going to use that person as more of a scapegoat. Because it's rare to see a child from a good, healthy family with a good level of self-esteem, that carries their head high, that feels good about themselves, that has talents, that's not criticized at home, being bullied by other kids. Very rare. It's usually the children who are suffering from some form of family trauma. And so then the bullying from other children also adds to this feeling of there's something wrong with me, I am not good enough. And that creates various defense mechanisms of pushing people away, staying away from people. If you get bullied, you feel like you're not like the other kids, and so you might develop a variety of traits that are, very individual, and no one has the same experience, right? But these traits are going to make it more difficult for the developing child, maybe an adolescent, to actually understand how to have fun as a part of the community, how to interact with other kids, and also get used to certain activities that later turn into hobbies in adult life. And so that separation from other people, from other children, is the roots of where this inability to have joy starts. So the second thing that happens is the habit formation. So kids, you begin to form habits, and those habits form memories. And those wonderful memories make you want to do more of similar things. So some kids that are growing up in areas where there's a lot of nature, are going hiking, they're playing sports, they're with other children or other adolescents. And so that can turn into various lifelong hobbies, right? Things that have to do with nature, things that have to do with sports, maybe competitive sports, maybe they're playing volleyball, soccer, you name it, right? And so that turns into hobbies, healthy hobbies as adults, that adults can later enjoy and keep deriving those feelings of joy. It might not be the exact same thing they were doing as children. However, those memories and those experiences are going to translate into more things that adults enjoy doing as a group or by themselves. And so when those habits aren't formed, sometimes maybe unhealthy habits are formed. And one of the unhealthy habits that kids that are growing up in adverse families form is that they tend to bond with other kids from traumatic families. And they tend to bond with each other on the basis of trauma, right? And they start to help each other out, which is super sweet and can result in lifelong relationships. And not to say that those relationships are negative or unhealthy in any way. It's actually very positive and healthy to find kids that might be struggling just like you and to move forward together. However, there's of course danger associated with that. There are risk factors. Just as all adolescents are prone to risking their lives, like speeding, not wearing seat belts, experimenting with drugs and alcohol, right? And that's normal for adolescents because adolescents' brain, their risk and reward ratio is a little bit imbalanced. So they're getting a huge amount of reward, even though they understand the risks. Adolescents are very smart. They understand they know the risks. But because of this desire for reward, adolescents are much more likely to engage in activities that are not necessarily safe for life, and they can also turn into negative habits. So once again, using alcohol, right? Repeating that family pattern, making friends that have that same kind of trauma, and that turns into a habit. And the habit of, drinking too much or using drugs or partying, the reason why it usually doesn't turn into a healthy habit, although of course it could be used in a healthy way, right? And there's nothing wrong with having a few drinks, but the reason why it can get out of control, when it gets out of control, the reason why it's not considered to be a joyous, fun activity is because usually the person that is abusing a substance, that results in damaging relationships, and that results in feelings of shame and inadequacy, right? Which is not the same thing as having joyous fun, having good healthy activities that you can enjoy and feel good. So of course it might be fun to party in order to indulge in alcohol, but usually that is going to create feelings of shame, feelings of inadequacy, ruined relationships, and so forth and so forth. And so with adolescents that bond with other adolescents based on trauma, those risk factors are even higher regarding which activities they are going to engage in. So the other part is the desire to take care of others, and children from adverse family environments begin to fall into the caretaker role, which works out beautifully for them because people love to be taken care of. So they become very good confidants for their friends. They're very good listeners. And so thus they actually are able to create relationships around them and feel good within those relationships. Now the problem is that they're not exactly being their authentic selves. So they're going out of their way to take care of people, and they get into a habit of taking care of people rather than getting into a habit of having fun with people. And so that is another reason why some adult children of alcoholics have beautiful relationships and many friends and are wonderful listeners, and people really go to them for help, but yet they don't experience as much joy. And that's because they are hyper-vigilantly making sure that other people are enjoying themselves, that other people are having fun instead of them. Which takes me to the other point of adult children of alcoholics sometimes take on too much responsibility. So if they're in an environment with other people, they want to feel like they're in control. They want to make sure that other people are enjoying themselves, having a good time, and they're less worried about themselves because they've gotten to those patterns with their family members, and then later with their early relationships, early adolescence or childhood relationships. Another major factor for adult children of alcoholics and not being able to let loose and enjoy themselves is because in alcoholic families, criticism is huge. So it's very likely that ACOAs were very harshly criticized by their parents. And people that abuse alcohol can also be extremely envious of their children. So when they see their child having fun or succeeding, it's like they want to pull that leash back. They want to tell their child, no, you can't do that, because they can't see that joy. And so being constantly under a magnifying glass, being criticized, leads to a pattern of criticizing oneself and also criticizing other people. And so sometimes, unfortunately, when I see other people enjoying themselves and having fun and letting loose and, being free and also expressing their personality, expressing their character to a full degree, they have difficulty tolerating that. To them, they think, when is somebody going to pull your leash, the way that I got my leash pulled. So it's being highly critical of oneself, highly critical of other people, and that creates that distance between you and the ability to enjoy yourself, the ability to enjoy your environment, so that the harsh criticism, and also being afraid, of maybe maybe looking like a fool, maybe saying something wrong, maybe that other people won't like you. So all that comes from being criticized too harshly in childhood. And feeling responsible. So yeah, feeling like you're very different, taking care of others, not having the ability to form healthy, joyous habits in childhood and adolescence, bonding with other children, criticizing self and criticizing others, and feeling responsible for other people and circumstances. So if you find yourself in this category of someone with adverse childhood experiences and you have difficulty having fun, that is absolutely something to work on and not to ignore. A lot of people come to therapy, because their relationships aren't working out, or they're engaging in unhealthy habits, or they feel very stressed out, or they're experiencing panic attacks. And rarely do people think, do I enjoy myself? How often do I enjoy myself? So it's a great question to analyze and introspect within yourself. How are you enjoying yourself? Where are you having fun? Where are you deriving a sense of pleasure from? Because a huge part of life is being joyous and being healthy, and making sure that you can find an outlet for yourself to have fun and be joyous and feel good about it afterwards without a sense of shame, guilt, or remorse. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave in the comment section why or why not can you relate to this experience or not. And I will see you in my upcoming videos. Have a wonderful week.